Hello and welcome to Professing Risk. This is your host, Tony Cañas. And today I'm recording the last episode of 2020. It won't go live until like February of 2021 because I'm behind. And with me, I think it's going to be episode 220 or so. And with me, I have Andy Mathisen, the Chief Marketing Officer and co-founder Chief Marketing Officer at GloveBox. Andy, thank you for being here with me today. How's it going?
Hey, Tony. Tony, it's going awesome. I really appreciate you having me. This is going to be fun. Let's do it.
Awesome. And we are recording last day of 2020. So hopefully by the time this goes live, the pandemic is over. We've all been vaccinated. Every independent agency is able to again receive clients in person.
Gosh, what a strange concept.
All I ask is that 2021 is better than 2020.
Yeah, I mean, that's a given, right? That's already a given.
I actually, I'm heading home to visit my mom in Costa Rica for the first time in a while. I have not traveled at all since March. And yesterday I booked the flights, and I was so nerded out by the fact that I have a flight on my Delta app. Normally I have like 10 flights, right? It's been so long. So anyway, hopefully 2021 will treat us better. So Andy, I always give people the chance to give kind of the elevator speech. What is GloveBox?
Yeah, I'm
the
glad
elevator
you asked.
Pitch.
Yep, sure thing. Well, I'm glad you asked. We've been around now for about a year and a half. We released the technology in July of 2019. And when I say we released it, that was our most basic, minimal viable product at the time. The ability for someone to download the app and attempt to connect to their carrier through GloveBox. Now, the concept of GloveBox is to allow an independent agency to provide their clients a self-service platform, whether it be on web or mobile. So basically, you're going to allow a client to have access to their carriers and have carrier features like grab documents, pay a bill, start a claim, or agency features like request service, request a quote, or just simply get in touch with them through text, email, or call. So you're basically taking features and functionalities from a carrier technology, and you're turning it into an independent agency technology. Instead of having one app for my independent insurance carrier, like say Progressive or Travelers or Safeco, I can just have my GloveBox app that's tied to my independent agency and have the ability to do anything with any carrier and any product.
So just before recording, I was looking at the website and like the video on the website and stuff, and a couple of things blew me away. Number one, on the video, like the number of carriers that are shown on the video is kind of ridiculous, and there are a ridiculous number of PNC carriers in the US. You've been around for a year and a half, and this already connects with any carrier.
Yeah. So we have, and that's the second question that usually arises during our conversations with independent agents. We have the ability to connect in one of two ways. The first way we connect, and that's the preferred method, is of course an API connection, which that's the lingo that gets tossed around a lot these days, an API connection.
Last I heard, there were about 2 carriers in the US that were ready for API.
Yeah, right.
Hiscox USA and maybe Progressive.
Sure.
So anyway.
It's just funny that you said that because we're figuring that out the hard way, but we're doing very well on the API side. So we have about 16 API connections right now. That allows us to pull in the document from the carrier and store it in the user's GloveBox. So if I was to connect with Travelers, for example, in my GloveBox, we're going to grab the policy documents that are associated to my account in Travelers and have the ability to just store them in my GloveBox for quick access. And then the same concept for any other carrier that's API connected. Now, the second type of connection that we have is, of course, not as preferred, but still works flawlessly. The ability to take the service portal of that carrier and just embed it inside of GloveBox. So another example,
okay.
Say Progressive, they are not an API connection yet. So what that means is for us, We're just taking their service portal and we're embedding it inside of the app so that the client still has access to all the features and functionality of that carrier.
Okay. So that makes a lot more sense. Okay. So brilliant solution, by the way. It
Thank
also
you.
means that the app is going to get better and better and better as carriers get their
Every
IT
single
together.
day, there's something new. Yeah, exactly.
And no, however, I do wonder, like there's a lot of carriers out there that are like small regionals, and their tech is probably not super mobile friendly. So
Yeah.
is it kind of clunky in the case of like really small carriers?
Yeah, so in that example, we provide whatever functionality they provide. So not all of them have documents, not all of them have billing and claims. I would say less than 10% have none of the solutions available, which in that case, there's not much we can do. But in the second case where in the second case where maybe they only have billing, then we give the functionality for only billing. So at least there's something there. But then 75% or more are all the functionalities. So
and the reality is well, 75% have okay, that's really good. And the reality is for your average independent agency out there, chances are your book is like, there's an 80-20 rule, right? Chances are 80% of your book is with 20% of your carriers, and chances are those carriers are really good carriers. That's why, right? So chances are that the majority of your book will benefit a lot.
Well, it's funny you say that.
Approach.
If you don't mind, I want to comment on that. Agencies are in love with GloveBox because it makes their life easier, because they don't have to take as many phone calls anymore for things that are simple, like, can you send me my auto ID card? Can you send me my deck page? How do I pay a bill? How do I start a claim? Now, if they don't have to take those phone calls anymore, then that means that you can start writing business with the carriers that have a great experience inside of GloveBox. You're going to want to write more business with the carriers that do well inside of GloveBox, because it helps your life. So this should help the carrier that connects with GloveBox. And not to toot our horn, but we're helping carriers get more users. We're helping agencies have better service and their efficiency. And so this is a well-rounded approach to helping bring the relationship between the agency and the client and the carrier together.
I like it. It's a win-win, definitely, because even I've always been a carrier side guy. And I've never worked in carrier IT, but like, for example, my time at Allied, Nationwide's independent line, I guess all of Nationwide's independent now, but my time at Allied, part of we have an app. It's not the best in the world, but we have it. But our independent agents are not big into pushing that app. They don't want to do tech support for the app, right? And it's hard for them to keep track who has an app, which apps are good, which apps are right. And the agent wants the app white labeled in their brand, not in the carrier's brand. But what I'm trying to say is yes, the carrier that has invested in a good app or in a good service platform and in a good portal wants as many of the customers to use it. So it's a win-win-win. So my next question, as I was looking at the website, was okay. So who is getting bled to make this happen, right? So a lot of the insurtechs, you click on pricing, and it's very much of a give us a call type of thing, and it's hard to figure out the pricing. You guys openly say it that for a small agency, for a mom and pop shop kind of thing, it's $60 a month, $59 a month. You're giving it away. So
we are
the
building
pricing
an infrastructure.
Looks really good.
We're building an infrastructure of quality agencies that fit the bill, that want to make their agency operations more efficient. We really have two pricing models. The one on the left we call solo agent, and that's just basically white labeling the technology and making it your own. The other side is GloveBox agency, the ability to say an agency can do the exact same thing as the agent, white label the technology, make it their own, but there's some automation behind it. We distribute the app for the agency to their client base, and we go ahead and we provide the policies and the policy numbers for the clients as they enter. So we know, hey, the agency gave us the client list. We've imported that into our system. So when the user comes in, their policies are already there. Now all the user needs to do is click on the policy, and it prompts them to log into their carrier so we can pull in the document and store it there. So there's some automation behind version number 2. The door number 2 is typically what agencies are utilizing because of the rollout automation and the policy documentation automation inside the app.
Yeah, it makes perfect sense. Absolutely. How did the idea happen? How did you identify the problem, or is this one of those insurtechs where what's it called? Hammer looking for a nail?
No, I'm glad you asked that. So myself, my brother, who's my business partner, and my business partner, Sean, we are former agents and agency owners of a fairly large agency in Denver. We sold that insurance agency last summer of 2019. We had just hit 100 million in premium when we decided to sell the agency. And so when we grew that personal lines book of business to 100 million, we said, we need to help the industry, and we're going to go do this because there's nothing like it. And it's so silly. We're compiling portals into one platform and white labeling it to an agency. And that's the simplicity of it. But there's more to come with the build out. You're going to see some things in the evolution of the product over the next coming months that's going to really open it up. To do a quick 5-second blurb about what that is: turning an agency into a digital marketplace, front to back, sales to service. It's going to be very, very cool.
Also, so you're getting more into the marketing piece of it.
Yeah, there's going to be
not just the policy management.
Yeah, so right now you can manage your policies through home and auto and umbrella and toys, RVs, boats, all that stuff. We're adding life, health, and commercial in the next few months, and that's going to allow a client to say, hey, I want to get a quote from my agency on life insurance because I don't have life insurance. I want to get a quote on health insurance because I don't have health insurance. Either they can get it from their agency, it's going to ping them to get the quote done, or that an agency can go ahead and turn around and give it to their referral partners who do that product. So there's some cross-sell, upsell opportunity that's going to be available. And then we're going to be offering ancillary insurance products that you can purchase in-app to buy directly from your carrier: pet insurance, cyber insurance, drone, short-term rental. Those types of ancillary insurance products can literally be purchased on the independent agency's app. It's going to be pretty cool.
That does sound pretty cool indeed. So this episode won't go live until February. So by then, what's going to already be live?
Well, we have a big announcement coming mid-January, maybe third week of January. Nationwide is piloting a pretty exclusive API with us. And Nationwide, of all places, I know you have a background there. Nationwide is going to be they're going to be our pillar carrier. They're going to set the tone on what the experience should look like for all carriers when it comes to being inside a GloveBox. So Nationwide will be the biggest news of January.
I'm more than shocked. I'm more than shocked. In my mind, Nationwide is a pretty conservative carrier, but they've surprised me recently,
as of late,
especially.
They're really doing a lot. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. And so I'm a big fan of Steve Rasmussen, the CEO who just finished his time at Nationwide. He was the CEO while I was there, and Rasmussen. He could have easily said we need to get rid of the exclusive channel. We need to completely redo our IT, and we need to bring all the brands together. You guys have fun doing that as soon as I'm gone, right? Like I just kind of coasted in his last few years. Instead, he got permission to stay for an extra couple of years because for executives, Nationwide has a retirement age of 65. He got permission to stay for an extra couple of years to see the company through the transformation.
Excellent.
And he pulled it off. And then with COVID, they became the first large carrier, thus far the only large carrier that announced that they're getting rid of all of their side offices and let people work from home instead. So yeah, I'm shocked. But then again, they've got in the digital side, they got Tony Fenton, who's a friend of mine, who's a fantastic guy. So I'm not surprised. I don't know who you've been working with, but awesome, really awesome.
It's going to pave the way. It's really going to pave the way for the other carriers to say, we want that type of experience instead of your platform. So that's what it's going to lead to.
And you know, at times there are the killer app thing, right? Like it's not just the technology or the device or whatever. You need the device plus a killer app for people and companies to really make the jump, right? So I would love to see you guys become the killer app that finally gets every carrier that can afford to every carrier to API.
Yeah. And the other thing is you're going to see kind of an evolution of that experience for the client saying, oh, I'm just going to stick with Nationwide because my experience inside the app is so pleasant. I want to just stay with them versus shopping with another carrier. So it'll make carriers hustle up to get that experience just like them.
Makes perfect sense. So you did 6 years, almost 7 years, basically 7 years as in an agency. Before that, what is WeighIn? I don't know how it's pronounced.
Yeah, WeighIn. WeighIn is a startup here in Denver, and when I graduated, kind of like weighing in on a topic. The concept was to watch a sporting event and weigh in what's going on. This was prior to legal sports betting, by the way. But being able to say, hey, there's a football game on. They're going downfield, they're driving. Do you think they'll get in the end zone? Weigh in on if they will or not. You get points for if you're correct versus money, which is a little different. So I was a part of that company, and actually the founder of that company, Scott McNeely, is now a board advisor at GloveBox. So he is on our team. And that name, Scott McNeely, may ring a bell to some people. He's the former CEO of Sun Microsystems, which is now Oracle. And so, multi-billionaire, he's the man in tech. So think of tech, you think of Scott McNeely as one of the names.
Gotcha. So in the career conversation, how does a kid from Kansas with a communication studies major? I see that you went to University of Kansas. I don't know if you're from Kansas.
Born and raised in Denver, headed out to KU. Okay. Back in Denver.
So how does a communication major from like a large rural school end up in insurance and then insurtech?
I know, because insurance is not sexy. We don't dream about it. We don't grow up thinking about it. It's a funny story, actually. So my dad had an agency for years and years. He actually was formerly in like 1995. He was with a company called Country Companies. It's a captive company. At the time, that's the name brand he was with. He actually moved on from the captive channel to start an independent agency when I was about, 8-9 years old, maybe. And he took a small loan from my grandma to buy a small book of business and started really a brand new independent insurance agency, which ended up being the agency that I worked at, leading up to last summer. So when I started being interested in insurance, it was because he bought his own agency. He was growing it from basically scratch, not technically or literally, but, basically, and got interested in the independent channel. Now, I didn't know anything about the independent channel as like what it really meant at that age, but it was interesting to see my dad grow a business. But insurance, it's funny, there's a picture I posted on LinkedIn recently of that being about 8-9 years old. And in one of the yearbooks, I wrote that I want to be an insurance agent one day. So everyone gets a kick out of that.
I had forgotten that. That is how we connected, right? So before recording, So my predecessor, who used to run profiles in risk, Nick was a preparer. He would do extensive research on the companies and like have an agenda ahead of time. And Tony, I'm the exact opposite, right? So my approach is interesting person. Hey, would you like to be on the podcast? It gets scheduled, and then the day of the podcast, I send you a link with the Zoom, and then like half an hour before we chat, if like on a good day, half an hour before we chat, I take a look at the website and kind of get a good idea of, and try to remind myself how we connected. And today, I saw that the first message was me messaging you, but I didn't remember that's why I messaged you until you just now mentioned
funny.
it. Yeah, because it's so rare that to run somebody who grew up wanting to be in insurance. I've asked rooms full of insurance people when I do speaking. Raise your hand if you grew up wanting to work in insurance, and it's 0 to 1. And if there's one person raising their hand, I asked them, and 99.9% of the time the answer is my dad was an agent.
Oh my gosh, I should have been more prepared with that picture right now. I could have held it up.
Kids don't.
It's hilarious.
No, bro. I can go find it and make sure to include it on the video version of the podcast.
There you go.
So your dad did good. It's very, very often. In fact, so many agencies get sold off because none of the principals' kids are interested in taking over. Right? They end up getting sold to a national player, or a global player rather. I wonder if part of the reason, and I'm just thinking out loud, if part of the reason that the agencies get sold is, part of the reason that the kids are not interested is because they perceive insurance as really old-fashioned. And I wonder if once we fully modernize the agency, I wonder if it'll be easier to get the kids interested, right?
Wow.
Once it's free of paper and fully digitized and marketed in an exciting way, rather than sponsoring the local football team.
You bring up an interesting point. So GloveBox has a couple of competitors who have done a similar approach to, giving clients access to their stuff to manage their policies.
And I'm guessing the competitors are older than you guys, because you've only been there for a year and a half?
Yeah, much as far as multiple years, whereas we're within the past year or so. The biggest difference between what we're doing and what they've done is they're connecting to the management system and relying upon the management system documentation and data. And we are connecting to the carriers and relying upon their documentation and data. Now, the biggest difference on that perspective is that who has the more updated, recent, actual documents and records.
And ultimately, not only like E&O, E&O wise, if I'm your E&O carrier, and I've never worked at an E&O carrier, but I'm guessing if I'm your E&O carrier, there's a risk in your agency management system not being fully up to date and feeding that to the client, right? And like in the very worst case scenario, the client is like, here's my insurance card from your agency management system, but it turns out the actual policy expired, right?
Well, heck yeah, exactly. Not only that, but you're looking at an accord form. Is that really what it is? It's just the data that's being presented on a form that's standardized. Versus the one that's mailed to you, your deck page, your actual auto ID cards are what we're displaying in our system. So they're actual real live documents. And so that I got off track with what we were talking about, but yeah.
Go ahead.
Well, no, basically what I was saying is there's a way that it's been done, but we're doing it different, and we're putting kind of a better interface on it to make it more of a fun environment for both the client and the agency to be a part of and engage with. So
I like the idea of the better UI. I really like the idea of also the marketing piece getting embedded. And more than anything, the biggest thing is immediately I wanted to be connected to the carrier, because when the rubber meets the road, or rather when the car meets the deer, or whatever, when there's an actual loss, the deciding factor on that loss being paid will be whatever the carrier system says, right?
Yeah,
like, the agency system could disagree, but ultimately, if we end up in court over it, it's like the policy exists or doesn't exist, and add whatever the carrier think it does. So 100%.
And the reality of the situation is that your insurance is with the carrier. The agency is just helping that process come together.
Correct.
So
ultimately, the agency is selling, is getting a commission to sell it, but the carrier is paying the losses. That's
and trust me, we want the agency to be front and center the entire time. That's the concept of the platform. So it's all about them.
White label. So from the client's perspective, it looks like it's branded to my agency, but it's accurate to the most accurate source, which is the carrier. And I can totally, I don't know who the other companies are that do this. I haven't had them on the podcast, but I can totally see why, as you're building it, the easier way to build it is feed from the agency management system. You only have to talk to one system, right? Or to 3 or 4 different, right? The agency management system market is like 80% Epic. What is it? Applied Epic, and there's
Easy
a couple
links,
others, but really, like you only
AMS 360.
Your system only has to talk to those 3 or 4, and you're good to go. Right. On the carrier side, you have to talk to 3,000 different systems. So that makes a lot of sense. If I understand correctly, for now, you're 100% or largely personal lines. Is that?
We are at the very second, we're all personal lines. We're currently building out commercial life and health. So that'll be done middle of Q1. Yeah, roughly.
So. Okay, so we will get to the point where a contractor can get a certificate through the app instead of wasting, not wasting, but instead of calling my CSR 30 times a year to do that.
It'll offset that request.
That's a game changer.
That's going to be the number one thing it'll be used for on the commercial side, and we cannot wait for that to be ready. It's under construction. So
absolutely. It's been a great conversation. It's been a lot of fun.
Yes.
I've asked everything I needed to ask, and my headset is running out of battery. I should have charged it before, but I look forward to see what you guys build going forward. I really like the model. I think you're doing it right on both sides. What I mean by that is I love the fact that you can plug into any carrier, and that it's branded to the agent who owns the customer. That's their role in the chain. And I love the fact that it feeds from the agent, from the carrier system, not from my AMS, which could potentially not be fully accurate. And finally, the pricing is fantastic. I want to switch jobs with you, basically. I want to sell this because this is easy to sell.
It's so funny you say that. We literally get off demos and agencies are like, duh, why would I not do this? And it is really I don't want to say it's an easy sale, but it's an easy sale. And we didn't do it for that. We did it to help the industry, but it's just like, we have had 100 and some insurtechs come on the program. And I have never thought, wow, this guy has a really easy job. So this would sell itself if it works. Exactly. That's hilarious. Hey, here's one thing I'll leave with you. You mentioned in the beginning, insurtech being, 2 pieces of a word.
Yeah, the Abel Travis rule.
We're the insurance side of the insure, not the tech side. We have our tech people, our developers. We're totally the insurance people in the process. And so that means that we deal with tech issues all the time personally. And they're like, oh gosh, this is not easy. It's frustrating. So that's,
I have no issue with insurtech that where half the people are tech people and maybe tech people with no insurance experience, perfectly fine. my issue is when 99.9% of the people are tech and they have zero insurance, or sometimes I won't say any names to avoid getting sued, but sometimes they bring an insurance co-founder to so that investors don't worry, and that insurance co-founder doesn't get any say in the actual running of the company. So we continue being a tech hammer looking for an insurance nail. We're just borrowing somebody's good name to do it.
Nice.
Anyway, great chatting with you. Happy New Year's. And I look forward. Reach back out in a year and a half once you guys have built the commercial side, and maybe we'll do a demo.
I love it.
Instead of just a chat. Awesome.
You're going to see a fun evolution. So I appreciate you, Tony.